Hi, and welcome to There Are Exactly As Many Marvel Movies as You Think There Are in 5D. What was funny, me and my wife were talking about rewatching all of them, and I was like, oh man, that's like 20 movies we gotta rewatch. That's a whole lot. But I was just throwing out a number, but then when we counted it up, yeah, no, currently that is out. It's like 20 or 21 movies. It's just literally right around the number you think it is. Now that they're all on Disney Plus, I was like, why not just release or watch them in release order, you know? Not every year. But it's like by the end of 2022, it's supposed to be like 26 or 28 movies. It's too much. Uh-huh. Oh God. Yeah. Um Man, I'd have to rewatch a couple of Zack Snyder films, but after Justice League, I feel like there's something with Zack Snyder and slow motion shots. I'd have to re because wasn't he also did Sucker Punch, and I feel like Sucker Punch had a whole bunch of slow motion. I'd need to rewatch it. I don't know that for a fact, but I feel like it did. Yeah. There's one that's so bad it has its own name. There's Bayham, just the Michael Bay explosion on explosion, which explodes into explosion. That it's called Bayham. That he makes Bayham films. Mm, there there is a way that you shoot a Michael Bay explosion, and there's actually I know I've mentioned them on the show before, and unfortunately the show is over, but you can still watch it on YouTube. Every frame a painting, and he actually goes over why Bayham is so interesting and how what is Bayham? What is the setup? There is like a mathematical formula to Bayham that just pays off. Uh, I will say, I kind of poo poo on action movies when I talk about it because I'm not a huge action movie guy, but that's not to say that I dislike action movies. Sit me down when an action movie's on and I'll watch it, and usually they're pretty fun. I enjoy them, but I don't I'm not going out of my way for a good action movie. It has to be crazy good before I'm like I need to, make sure I see it in the theater kind of thing.
Yeah, I've actually gone away from make sure I can see it in the theater. I think it has to be a big set piece kind of thing, like
Like
Pacific
the
Rim.
Marvel ones I'll do in the
Yeah.
theater, Pacific Rim I'll do in the theater, Lord of the Rings I did in the theater, but like Ultraviolet or what
Well,
was
but
the
Ultraviolet just wasn't fantastic.
Charlize Theron one? I even just looked it up the other day.
Aeon Flux,
Not that one.
the Charlize there. Are you talking about like
We
Mad
watched it at your
Max?
house on Thanksgiving.
Oh, Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde. I'm glad I saw that at your house on Thanksgiving. I would not have paid money to see that in the theater. And that's not against that movie. Just that's not the kind of shit that
I
I
mean,
spend top dollar on.
to be fair, I didn't really think that movie was gonna be good. I'm sorry.
It was fine. I
It
like
was
Charlize Theron.
it
She's
was
great.
fine. Oh, I like Charlize Theron too, but not every Charlize Theron movie is a winner.
I don't know if I've seen enough of her stuff.
I mean, okay, real quick. Was she in in Mighty Joe Young, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I saw Mighty Joe Young one time, and that was when I saw it in the theater, and then never saw Mighty Joe Young again.
How old were we when that movie came
All
out?
right, let's go ahead and pull up. Why don't you go ahead and find a background?
1998. Jesus.
Well, it's actually a remake, Mighty Joe Young, 1949.
And it was Charlize
Original.
Theron played Jill Young.
Wow. Yeah,
Wow.
I have not seen this movie. Wow, and it's Disney even.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um I like this movie. I always thought honestly when I was a kid cuz it's 1998 and I was more of an idiot then. I thought it was related to King Kong cuz blonde lady, giant gorilla.
Yeah, of course.
Wrong. I was just wrong. I don't remember hating it.
ESL and shit, you were like, it's Big Monkey film.
Yeah, right. But for the longest time, I used to confuse the lady from George of the Jungle with the lady from this. Um,
Wait, George of the Jungle, the movie?
yeah, the one with Brendan Fraser, who I love, but has done some, shit.
Yeah, no, that one was a stinker. I remember not liking it. And who was the
Leslie
lady?
Mann.
Oh, I like Leslie Mann.
Yeah,
Married to Judd Apatow.
yeah, but Forest Jungle Lady, told blonde, totally confused them for a while until I started seeing more things with Charlize Theron. Which, by the way, the Italian Job holds up.
Yeah, it does.
Wahlberg, Theron, was it Mos Def, Seth Green?
I still swear by Wahlberg. Wahlberg is like, I my brain wants to knee jerk and say he's like the new Nick Cage, this weird actor who's both good and bad at the same time. But honestly, I think Wahlberg has a better track record than Cage does at this point, like by a long shot. Wahlberg has more, at least decent movies than Cage, who's like, great movie, horrible movie, great movie, horrible movie.
To be fair, though, the difference is that Mark Wahlberg picks his project and Nicolas Cage goes, "Will you give me money?"
Yeah,
And
that's
and
fair.
do you know why, right? Like I know we haven't talked about it in a long time, but Cage got into a lot of trouble with the IRS.
Yeah, he did.
He owed a lot of money, so for a while he was just like, I'm just gonna take whatever job comes my way, and I'm gonna be Nicolas Cage in it. I love watching his B movies because I like B movies in general. But yeah, some
Yeah.
of them are tough to get through. Although I will say Bangkok Dangerous, I thought it was underrated. It was very much an actiony film, but I thought it had enough substance. I thought it was pretty good. Okay, so we got a little off topic. What are some other film trends that you're either tired of or you think should go away soon?
Oh,
Filmmaking trends, I guess I should be more specific.
um, people are really mad at reboots, and I will say, I feel like we're just rebooting the wrong things. They keep going, let's reboot this great film, and I'm like, why not let's reboot this terrible film?
Okay.
Like, let's take something that was almost really good, and, like a cult classic. Take something that like didn't sell well because it was just kind of wrong for the time, and then modernize that, and I think you do better.
Okay, give me an example, because you probably have something in mind.
Uh, okay, decent example, and I actually don't know why modern audiences did not like it because it was good. But Evil Dead. So they went back and they did
Okay.
like a total reboot of Evil Dead in 2013.
Yes. No, I think it was later than that.
You check me while I talk.
Yep.
But they and it's Sam Raimi and even
I hate
Bruce
you.
Campbell was producing on it.
You're
And they made
100%
it,
right. It was 2013.
take that, bitch.
Wow.
2013's Evil Dead. But the reboot was really good. It was basically just a new Cabin in the Woods Necronomicon story, right? Done really well. And I love Evil Dead, but to do a new one and go like, hey, this time we have a budget, Great. They're doing the same thing for the Toxic Avenger. Toxic Avenger, famously, like trauma film, very low budget,
Yeah, yeah.
ridiculous, garbage film. Fun as all hell. Love Toxic Avenger, but ridiculous, garbage film. And they're redoing it. It's getting like $1 million budget. Peter Dinklage is going to be playing the Toxic Avenger. They're redoing Last Starfighter.
Okay.
Arguably garbage film,
Hey,
but
fuck
could
you.
be done really well today.
I've rewatched Last Starfighter, and yes, it's a garbage film, but it lines up to most of the other films of that era. Like, Last Starfighter came out around the time where everybody, because VHS became widely available and it was real easy to send shit to home movie, where they just started releasing all of this stuff. So,
Sure.
while it's not a classic in the sense of like Ghostbusters or any of those other films, I still think that for what it was fantastic. But again, I love B movies, specifically B
Right.
sci-fi movies.
But and again, let's remake more B movies.
Okay.
Let's take some B movies that were actually really good, and let's do that again, but give it the attention it deserves. You know, let's not reuse old sets and bullshit. Let's give it a look and redo that. I think that's where the money is. The other one that suddenly springs to mind, let's stop doing the cram film. What I mean by this, let's not take a property that's 2 or 3 books and try and
Okay.
condense
Yep.
it into one short two. Like, TV's killing it. If Game of Thrones has proved anything, it's that TV can fucking make money when it's done right. That
Yeah.
shit dominated and made millions.
Yeah, it really did.
There are a lot of properties that, like Harry Potter, the X-Men, even like Scott Pilgrim. You can get 2 seasons out of Scott Pilgrim. There are tons of things that if you just did it long format would be better.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree, but I really like the Scott Pilgrim movies, so I don't know that I'd be
I
afraid that they
also love
fucking
it.
would wreck it.
But you haven't read the comics, have you?
I have not. No. I like
I
the movie.
really think you should, because even though you're not a slice of life guy, it's like a weird alt world slice of life, because bits of it he exists in a slightly video game world with extra lives and level ups. So
Yeah, maybe.
and each character has so much more depth in the comic. I think you could do 2 seasons of a show and really get something special out of it.
How do you feel? I don't disagree, but something just came to mind. How do you feel about reboots, but with the same cast?
Like a sequel?
Sort of, except let's just try it again, but better. I don't think that's been done yet.
I don't know if it will work. Your actors are obviously older.
Yeah, for sure. But let's say that's fine. How because you wouldn't want to necessarily retread the same story, but you'd want to
Well, right.
revisit.
So like the way you're wording it, it sounds like if I just did Clerks, but I took Randall and Dante and gave it like $1 million budget. But the story of a 20-something slacker versus the story of a 50-something slacker is a very different movie.
I was thinking more like because he doesn't age, redo Constantine with Keanu with a better budget and hopefully, people that show up. I love that movie, but a lot of people do not.
No, Constantine was good. In fact, I have not yet seen a live action Constantine that wasn't good.
Yeah,
Even
that's
the
fair.
Dresden Files was a pretty good Constantine.
The
Show?
Yeah.
The show was a really good
I liked the Dresden Files show. I don't know why it was so short-lived.
because it did not match the book at all. It just got everything from the book wrong.
Yeah, but doesn't every other fucking series?
This one was Dresden fans, or I was actually just talking to Eric and our D&D group about this, and I'm not a huge Dresden guy. I went through the first 3 books. They were fun, but I was like, these are all the same book. And so what
Fair.
Eric actually pointed out was he's formulaic. What keeps you coming back is the characters. You're supposed to want to see what these people are doing, not necessarily what's going on, and that's your drive. And so to make a show that is fundamentally not those characters, you've just killed the whole show.
That's fair, but honestly, the show itself, it was pretty solid.
But the show, and I think, again, if that show had been called Constantine,
or Wizard Detective. Yeah, I
it
get
would
that.
have been a hit.
There's a few things like that. So again, I'd like to see another go at at Constantine with Keanu. I actually thought he did pretty
He did
good.
great.
Yeah,
He did great.
like he wasn't as good as the guy who played him on TV, but that was
No,
almost a
he did
different
really good.
Constantine. Like
Yeah.
the one who played him on the TV show was the comic Constantine. That was it. That wasn't adapted for TV. That was pretty much straightforward. They actually toned him down a little bit for the TV show, I thought, because I've been rereading the comics, and
You've actually read more Constantine than I have.
he's just kind of a bastard, and it's both good and bad. Well, I look at it. The one thing I like, and this brings us into comics, which I knew we wanted to talk about as well, but the one thing I like about the Hellblazer series is that,
Is his blazer. He wears a blazer from hell.
yeah, exactly. That's the titular character is actually that Blazer from Hell.
The hell blazer.
What I like is that, and I know it was by accident because it was Vertigo Comics before it was DC,
Yes.
but they are just like, look, you're dealing with demons and supernatural forces as a fucking human. What do you expect? Shit's gonna get dirty. It's gonna be murky, and there aren't really happy endings.
Yeah.
And I like that because it was very.
At least not ones you don't have to pay $20 for, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I'll wear the horns, baby. But yeah, so I just thought it was a good take. He's almost, and I realize the irony of me saying this. He's almost comically a bastard.
Ha.
But yeah, no, I like that. So I would very much like to see the movie version, though. I do like in the spoilers from like fucking 20 years ago, post credits scene, they actually show Chaz, I think was his name, his sidekick in the movie, played by I yell at things all the time, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah.
He comes back.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was like, yeah, I'd like to see this. This is interesting enough. Like, it adds enough to the world to keep it going.
Yeah.
But anyways, this isn't a review of Constantine. The point being that that's a movie I'd like to give them another shot with those characters. I was about to say The Matrix, but I feel like now I'm just talking about Keanu in general. Just give him another shot.
Matrix 4 is coming out.
Yeah, I have purposely not been aware of anything of that.
I'm not a fan of The Matrix. I can honestly say, unless I hear insanely good things, I probably just won't see it. If I'm being honest.
I like 1 and 2, 3. Just I can suspend disbelief to a point, and number 2 had really cool set pieces, so I was in. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I didn't even like number 1.
Honestly,
I didn't even.
I like number 1. Put yourself. I mean,
I saw it in theaters when it came out, bro.
And you didn't like it. Why?
It's one of those things I can't quite put my finger on.
Okay.
I watched it and I didn't find it enjoyable. I think I don't know. It's all very wooden and just kind of dumb.
Okay.
I think maybe because I'm just like generally a computer guy. I was just like, nope.
Yeah, but when it came out, you were like 9.
Yeah, but I was one of the only 4th graders I knew who had a computer with the internet in his room.
Yeah, but it is a look. I'm not trying to retroactively change your mind, and I'm not shitting on your opinion because that's okay.
Sure. Oh, no, dude, my brother was hard into it, and we shared a room, same thing. Just there's something about it.
So,
Like I just watched this and I was like, I don't get this and I don't like it.
and you also didn't like Equilibrium, right? That wasn't.
No, I hated Equilibrium.
Oh man,
Equilibrium's worse.
arguably, I would say it was definitely overshadowed. They came out around the same time, which is I thought was kind of lame. I always thought Equilibrium was good. Plus, it had Sean Bean in it.
Yeah, no,
You're like, still
I,
no.
yep, did not enjoy. I was basically like, oh, so you really wanted to make Fahrenheit 451, but some coked up producer was like, nope.
Yeah, but that's okay, right? Like, there
No.
are a lot of films that are. I mean, 10 Things I Hate About You is basically the taming of the shrew.
Yeah, but that wasn't like we need to make it extreme. Like Fahrenheit 451 was fine, except then they did a movie and it was only okay.
So what you're saying is you can't win. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
There are winners. They
actually,
exist.
to be fair, Equilibrium could use a reboot. I think
Ugh.
it's a good concept, man.
Okay.
I, this is so you just don't like the. I don't even know what it's fucking because it's dystopian, but it's not post-apocalyptic per se. I mean, sort of. They talk about World War III, but yeah. So, what genre would you say that The Matrix and Equilibrium are?
Cyber douche.
Yeah. Okay. So cyberpunk.
I like cyberpunk. I don't like those.
What's another cyberpunk film that you've enjoyed?
Um, Columbia is kind of like a sort of a cyberpunk.
That's dystopian. I wouldn't call that cyberpunk.
All the technology is there and wonky. Even like Alien is kind of. It's like IBM tech in space. You know what I mean? Like computers and green screen with green lettering and shit.
That's funny.
That's honestly that is the bit that appeals to me the most. Alien is my top like horror movie. I strongly suggest to all my friends, if you have kids, when your kid comes of the right age to start watching horror movies, Alien should be the first horror movie your kid watches. I swear by this. One of the key appeals to me personally, though, in Alien is that like IBM retro tech in space. Can you imagine your Apple II or something, but having to navigate you through a star system?
Yeah, that's always why it's kind of weird looking at some of those old movies, like even 2001: A Space Odyssey, or any portrayal of space in that era is always super fucking weird. Like even look at like Star Wars, right? When he's in the X-Wing and R2 is talking, the little translator thing, it really just is a DOS screen that has the fucking like lettering showing up. It's because that's the best they could think of.
Right. That's what they had, and I
Yeah.
love that. It brings me so much joy. Now, I enjoy cyberpunks. I just don't enjoy the Matrix and Equilibrium. I don't get it. I don't get
That's
it.
weird. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to like. I'm legitimately trying to figure out what it is about those movies because they're similar in they're almost the same fucking genre, right? Like, what is it about those two that you don't enjoy? That it's just weird.
Yeah, and again, it's I can't quite put. Sometimes shit just doesn't
Yeah. Well,
mesh with you. I watch
there
those
is
and I'm
such
like,
thing
I
as
don't
just
understand
tastes, right?
why people enjoy this. I don't. Nothing about it was good.
Did
I
you
didn't like
like?
the plot, I didn't like the performances. I didn't like the direction. I didn't like any of it.
Okay. Okay. Another movie that's out there that's also a remake. What about The Time Machine? The one
Never saw it.
with I think it's Guy Ritchie and Jeremy Irons.
Never saw it.
Now you're just depressing me.
I never saw it.
John Carter of Mars.
Yeah, I watched John Carter. The problem with John Carter is that story is so old, everybody else had already cannibalized it, so it just felt like the most generic shit ever.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I
It
could
felt like
definitely see
every
that.
other movie I'd already seen in my entire
When
life.
it was actually one of the precursors, right?
Right.
Like even that'd be like never having made Flash Gordon and then making Flash Gordon now
Yeah,
into a
like
film.
that
Yeah.
shit has already been so cannibalized. It
Yeah,
can't.
that's fair. Okay, what do you think? And I'm just throwing shit out there now because I'm trying to figure out. What do you think of iRobot?
I like iRobot. That isn't that Asimov original?
That is Asimov, but it's that same kind
I've
of
been
thing
actually
where
wanting to try and read some of the Asimov shorts.
um, yes, I would. I honestly would. And if you really want to just get really out there, read the Foundation series. That one is it's like oh my it's like reading. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like math explained in words with a story.
Oh, damn! I don't think I'm gonna understand that story because I don't understand math.
Yeah, well, and it's more of I'm obviously being facetious. Also, Isaac Asimov, but definitely give it a go. I would, and honestly, like, if have you ever tried? I'm bouncing all over the place, which is funny enough because I'm stone cold sober today.
I'm
I
not.
know, big surprise. Have you read the Watch series? I know that we saw Night Watch and Day Watch,
Let's
the movies.
be fair. I haven't read anything.
Have you listened to the Watch series?
No.
I I think you should.
Now, a lot of people have suggested it because of my joy of World of Darkness and how much it feels like one of those words, but I just have a hard time getting through novels. I can't do it
It's fully
often or quickly.
translated into English. Get the audiobook.
Yeah, but I don't really. When am I going to listen to an audiobook?
Yeah, I usually do it when I'm working out or when I'm on those crazy hikes. So that's my time
And see,
for
and
that.
I do all my like walks and stuff with my wife, work out same time as my wife, and she usually wants to talk during that. So
Yes, talking bad.
I didn't say it. I just she likes to talk during those, so we talk during those. It's we don't listen to books or anything while we do that. It used to be my commute was like my comic reading time, and even my comic reading. My goal for 2020 was to reread all of my comics, and I didn't even make it through the first shelf
Which is
because my
weird.
comic time was yanked away.
Which is weird because of the thing that we can't talk about because YouTube will suppress us. Gave people plenty of time to be at home and sequestered away.
No, but like that time was shifted into like exercising more, playing
Yeah.
games, writing. Like commute time was specific, right? Because I was stuck in a certain place with limited options. You can't just do whatever during the commute. There's limited space. You can't always sit.
Well,
It's
if everything goes according to plan, you'll get your commute back here in a couple of months.
sure, yeah, and like I'm weirdly looking forward to having my reading time back, but
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
The Watches. Listen, I've actually listened to all of the books. It's a Russian author, and
yeah,
you can really tell just because of some of the almost
communist.
I was gonna say societal sarcasm, but yes, it's like reading Hitchhiker's Guide, and you can really tell that Douglas Adams was just tired of everybody's shit.
Yeah,
Except he was funny about it. Where, oh my god, and now I am blanking on the author's name, and I'm gonna look it up. Where
Jeff
no,
Stofsky.
I don't know if that's prejudiced or not.
They have a lot of ski names.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Sergei Lukyanenko, I think.
Oh
is
yeah,
closest.
his name is Sergey, and I'm the one who's fucking making assumptions about shit.
I didn't
Okay,
make assumptions, mofo. I just looked it up. Facts.
I'm just saying.
Facts do not give a shit for your prejudice, all right?
I made his first name Jeff. Okay, so
Yes, not Jeffosky or
yeah,
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna stop
Right.
because we're just gonna go off a deep end on this one. But yeah, no, check out the Watches and I've actually listened to that series. I've read the first two novels twice, and I've listened to the series twice now, because it needs some re-listening and rewatching. And he released some new books, and I had no idea what I was talking about. yeah, so day watch, night watch, Sergei Lukashenko. Check that shit out.
Wait, say that last name again.
Sergei Lukashenko, I think.
Lukashenko.
I might be saying that wrong. Yeah, it's
Right.
Lukashenko, I think is how it goes. I'm sure if I had an accent, it'd sound better.
I hear if you say it 5 times really fast in a dark room with a mirror, he'll appear.
Is
That's
that?
just what I heard.
I was about to say that's Bloody Mary and some others. Is that also Candyman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they just took those two legends and merged them. I remember being a kid, because I moved schools when I was
That's
a
not how
kid.
that works in California.
Well, no, it's funny because I moved from one school to another, towns, not states at that point. But in one school, everyone was scared of Bloody Mary, and in the other one, they
Yeah.
were all scared of Candyman. And I was like, it's the same story but different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bitches don't know what you're talking about. Have you all heard of La Llorona? But yeah. So, anyways, there's one big giant fucking trope that I just noticed in a comic book that I'm reading that I kind of hate, but it's a 90s thing.
Okay.
The whole like we're gonna tell you everything about the character in the first couple of pages instead of having you discover it is really frustrating. So
Yeah.
I just started rereading The Darkness, which I actually have a graphic for. And I love this series. I've never finished it because by the time I got into it, they weren't publishing it right. It was published all stupid and out
I
of
also
order.
don't think it's over.
Uh,
It's a reboot, or sorry, it gets a universe
yeah,
reset.
they do
at a
basically
point.
their own version of like a crisis or something because there's three
Yes.
major components of this universe. One is
Well, now there's more than that.
I thought it was
The new
correct.
reboot includes Cyberforce and all the other old ones, but it's all one universe now.
Okay, but just within this direct universe, there's The Darkness, there's Witchblade, which is a whole other series, and then there's the Artifacts, which is a whole it's a whole other like thing.
So Magdalena falls into that?
So technically, the Witchblade is an artifact,
Sure.
but they created a whole series where there's a bunch more.
But shouldn't it just be Darkness, Witchblade, and Angelus?
Those are no, because Angelus doesn't have their own run. Artifacts was their own.
Yeah,
comic
there's an
run.
Angelus run.
Is there now? Jesus,
Yeah.
fuck, I missed it.
Well, not now. She sold to Marvel. Well, I guess now as well because she sold to Marvel.
Wait, are you
Yes.
confusing Angelus
Nope.
with Angela?
No.
Okay.
So Angelus
now
was
I'm
created
confused.
by Neil Gaiman or somebody. It was created by somebody who
No,
wasn't.
I'm pretty sure you're thinking of Angela from Spawn.
Oh, maybe I am.
You are. You're thinking the character Angela
Yeah.
from Spawn, who, yes, Neil Gaiman basically kept the rights for many years. just to
Angelus did still have her own run though.
they had a one shot and had a prominent role in this other limited series, but I don't think they had their own run. And I'm glad to be wrong on this, but I thought I had it. By the way, I apologize for all the Lord of the Rings fans because I totally botched that shit like 2 episodes ago. So I'm more than happy to if y'all want me to make an apology video, you get 100 likes on this video, and I will make an apology video about not knowing Lord of the Rings well.
Hey, I'm into that.
But yeah, no. So I thought the Angelus just showed up in a bunch of other shit, but didn't have their own run. But
I thought one specific one had her own run.
I'm pretty sure no. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm not finding it. I could have swore I saw like a trade paperback, at least one, with the cover and that title, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Or it's some Mandala shit, bro. That shit existed in my universe and you're missing out. No, Angelus #1 by Comixology, 1 of 6. Oh, but nope, totally different company. Okay, yeah. Talk about The Darkness.
yeah. Anyways, look, I love
I'm
The
gonna be
Darkness.
listening really
I've
quick.
been rewatching it, but good God, does the main character Jackie Staccato, I think. Um, I don't know that the character itself holds up, and maybe after the universe shift, it's been changed. But like, he's flawed, but not in the way that you think of an anti-hero to be flawed. Like, it's not just that he's okay with killing people, which he is. You know, he inherited the darkness. For those who haven't read the comic, it's this power that basically it gives you this weird power of creation based out of darkness, hence the name. And you're supposed to be evil, all this kind of stuff. But he's a hitman, so he doesn't really believe in morality in general. The problem is that the dude's like a womanizer to a fault. I don't know. I just don't like it, and this is very much a picture of his time. This comic was, I believe, in the 90s. Do you remember when The Darkness was first published, or am I gonna have to look this up?
Oh, it's a
It was
90s comic.
right? Okay, so that kind of explains why Jackie Estacado he's kind of a douche.
Oh, he's a major douche.
I know it's a point that he's supposed to be a douche, but even when
The
he's
first
not,
appearance was actually in Witchblade number
Yeah,
10 in
makes sense.
November of 1996.
yeah, fair enough. He's just kind of a sexist douche, but the sexism is played off as like he's a playboy, and it just doesn't
Yeah.
fit. It did not age well.
He's not a turd. That's just the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest problem rereading this. I know that opinions have changed and all that shit, but even back then, like, he was still kind of a douche. I remember not liking the
90s
character.
comics were giant boobs and too many pockets. That was all of the 90s.
Well, and then everybody had to have armor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I can't talk shit. The comics that I wrote from back then, my characters have armor. So what am I gonna do? But no, I like the story. I really I'm gonna try to get through all of it now that they're doing the re-release with the
Yeah, my wife is
actual-
doing the same thing, which means I will end up reading it eventually.
eventually. So I want to see it, and I want to see if it actually goes anywhere. And I also want to. I've never actually read regularly Witchblade. I've read a trade here and there, mostly the stuff that I could find in our library because it was free. But yeah, I'm gonna try and reread that. Also, did you watch the show, the Witchblade show?
I did not.
I'm kind of itching to go back and seeing it, but I kind of don't want to because it might be fuck awful. I don't remember.
I do have the Witchblade tattooed on my ribs.
Nice. Now I have to add blur effects. I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to see that. You just pulled J.J. Abrams. There was just lens flare. It was a whole
Yeah.
thing.
The show.
Wing. But yeah, no. The Darkness. Check it out. I actually like the video game more than I like the comic. Is that weird?
I think you're being mean. I remember the comic having some distinctly fantastic moments.
Yeah, but I mean, like, thoroughly enjoying it. Maybe I'm just more of a, but I'm not more of a video game guy. I really like comics. But yeah, I just remember enjoying the video game. Like, I've 3 or 4 fucking times, and for this one, I had a hard time getting through. The beginning is always fucking rough as shit for 90s comics. Like, I've been rereading Spawn, and the beginning is also kind of hard to get
Rough.
through.
Yeah.
They're just
I actually just realized this is going to cause a problem when I do my reread. I'm already on the C's. The D's are up next, but I have the old Darkness compendiums and now the new Darkness volumes. And I'm definitely not going to read one set and then read the next set.
Well,
it gets one set.
and what's interesting for you is are you gonna read Witchblade or no?
It depends on if my wife buys it. This is not a me series.
Okay. So how are you gonna, like, technically Witchblade came first, but that's a W. How are you gonna justify that in your brain?
Oh, my brain has no issue putting things together that are not in chronological order.
Oh,
I've been reading comics since middle school, and most of this shit does not happen in
yeah,
chronological.
but you have that
fucking
issue
order.
with video games. You won't play.
It's not. That's not because I don't understand them. It's because I will not do that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, was your brain also not gonna let you
No.
read Darkness first, then go back
Comics
and-
often come out of order.
Sure, that's true.
especially when you collect and trade. Some series just run slower than other series.
Well, and they like to do that whole like, oh, the adventures in this trade paperback, The Gap, is actually in this other series, so it's not collected here. I'm like,
And
get the
as a
fuck
fucking poor
out.
ass kid, you can't always go get the other
Well,
series.
that's
So
probably why I'll never get caught up on Green Lantern.
yeah.
The Blackest Night, Brightest Day, because those multi-serious things, I'm like, I understand what you're doing. You're trying to get other folks into other comics, but
Think
I'm
of
just
how
not
I feel
into
with
it.
Civil War. I have almost 20 Marvel Civil War books sitting over there. I have almost all of them.
That's fair. Ah, oh
But
boy.
I do feel you for like Brightest Day, Darkest Night. You can get away with 4 books. There are 4 core books and maybe a couple of little odds and end ones, but it won't be that hard to get everything. But no, that's why I tend to lean indie stuff, man. A lot of my collection is like complete now because I collect indie shit, and that stuff has the good grace to fucking end.
That's true until they do a sequel series. Speaking
Which
of,
fucking nail? Oh, dude, this pissed me off. Fucking Nail Biter is coming or is already back. It has 2 trade paperbacks out, so it's called Nail Biter Returns, but it picks up the numbering scheme from the last series.
oh, okay.
So a series that I was done with now has a new volume that is not Nail Biter Reborn Volume One. It's Nail Biter Volume 7 or whatever it is. 7.
Okay, yeah, that's like Power Rangers where they're like, this is a new thing, but it's totally coming after the last thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh my god, I just there's so much lore.
We need Comic Con to come back so we can hit the torpedo booth. They have the old shit, dude. You just pour through it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But anyways, rereading the Darkness. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead. The main character is a douche. Just get through the first couple of books where he talks a lot about himself. And for how manly these characters were in the '90s, boy, they sure are fucking whiny.
Yeah. It's a lot
Like,
of the 90s were built out of melodrama.
it just, I I have a hard time reading '80s comics because they're so '80s. But now I'm starting to feel
Yeah.
the same way about the '90s comics, and I'm feeling fucking out of
Modern indie,
place.
man. I'm telling you, modern indie is fucking hitting it out of the park. Speaking of a modern indie series, I hope you have something pulled up for this because you were supposed to. Paper Girls from Brian K. Vaughan just got casting.
Okay, go into the casting and I'll pull something up because I had something else for this.
You want me to read actual names? Let me see. I can get them just right
And
here.
is this a
Boom.
TV show or a movie?
It's going to be a TV show because you really cannot do this story as a movie. So, where are the girls? Sophia Rosinski, Cameron Jones, Riley La Nolette, and Fina Straza. I hope I said all those right. I probably did not. Are going to be the main girls in Paper Girls. So, Paper Girls, I've reviewed on this podcast before, but it's basically about 4 paper girls. They're like paper boys, but girls in 1988 who kind of get caught in the middle of a war between time travelers. And the
Okay.
war seems to take place not by people from different geographic locations, not by people from different countries, but by the young and the old. So the elderly and the young at a certain point in time start raging a war through time.
Okay.
And these girls kind of get caught as an anomaly in the middle of a time war.
Okay. Fair enough. This casting, is there are they newbies or have they been in other things?
They've been in stuff, but nothing that I've seen. So from Bleeding Cool, they list Sophia Rosinski as being from Fast Lane, Lane being Layne. I believe it is a Disney Channel show.
Okay.
Cameron Jones is from Cherish the Day. Riley Leigh Nolette is from Altered Carbon. And Fina Straza is from A Christmas Melody.
Who was she in Altered Carbon?
You would have to look that up your goddamn self.
Oh, look at you being all mouthy.
Here, let me look it up.
I'm looking
I-
up Altered Carbon right now, which makes me
So
sad. Second season.
Riley
So sad.
La Nellette, Nelet. She played young Raylene.
Okay, fair enough. So nobody got it.
She was one of the young versions of one of the characters. It looks like
Yeah,
I
but
think it was
she
season
wasn't like,
two.
yeah, she was in a major character. Not again, I'm not hitting on her. I'm just saying like these are fairly up and coming
Yeah,
actresses.
yeah, and they're young girls because they're supposed to be. They're
Yeah, that's
like
okay.
mid teenage girls who are on paper routes. They're 12, 13, 14 kind of thing. I don't remember any of their specific ages, but yeah.
Are you excited or are you into
I mean,
it?
I own 6 volumes of the comic. It's really good. Brian K. Vaughan does Saga, sort of a indie comic fan darling. Like,
Yep.
if you're at all beyond, I read Marvel and DC, then you've heard of Saga. It just happens. Also, Brian K. Vaughan worked on Lost. So he's no stranger to doing TV. He has a few comics that are becoming TV shows. He also wrote Why the Last Man, which is becoming a show on
Okay.
FX that I'm very excited for.
Okay.
So Brian K. Vaughan's just killing it, man. Good old BKV.
Good old BKV.
Brian K. Vaughan,
No,
BKV, bro.
I know it was just kind of out of nowhere.
That's internet comic bros refer to him as BKV.
You done with BKV?
I'm down with BKV. Yeah, you know me.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, so Paper Girls. Now we're doing this one backwards. We've already reviewed the movie. Now we're going to talk about the comic. Old Guard. What did you think?
Ah, yes, I did finally read Old Guard. Man, this is one of those ones that's like, how do you review the comic versus the movie? Reviewing this comic versus this movie is like reviewing Sin City.
Okay.
Crypt was almost the comic, like word for word.
Okay. Cool.
There are
That's-
minor differences. My biggest one on the comic, I don't love the art. It's not bad, just some of the characters, I'm just kind of like, who the fuck is talking right now? But yeah, if you liked the Old Guard movie, volume 1 is essentially that movie, just the first volume. The second volume is exactly what you think it is, based on the teaser from the end of the first movie.
Okay. Fair
Their
enough.
friend who was under the ocean
Yep.
comes back. So the second one is all about that. But I mean, yeah, Old Guard is it's good.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read it because I know the movie doesn't really explain what they are.
No, the comic doesn't either. She
Oh.
doesn't know. She just knows that everyone she knows died, and then there's these other people who don't die. They have dreams about each other, and they meet up, and that's as much like what you get from the movie. That's
Interesting.
as much as the characters know. And there's only 2 volumes, so that's it. They're starting to do some new comics that is sort of stories of them throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're, to my knowledge, they're not even doing a volume 3, or at least it's not planned yet. It's just these 2 things, and it's kind of these adventures of these characters who are like, this is us, and that's it,
Fair
which
enough.
I kind of love. You don't, you know my personal struggle with this, so maybe I'm fighting the good fight a little hard. I'm here for not explaining everything. I'm so tired of stories that feel a need to hold my hand
Look,
because there's some toothless redneck in a trailer park who's like, I don't understand why does it matter who they can't die. Why?
Hold on.
Because they can't.
Hold on. You're both right and wrong on this one because you're right. There is a certain type of story where you don't have to explain it.
Of course, it's not every story, but there's too many stories where they do explain it, and you don't need to.
No, but in a storyline where you have built a world around this, one shots or like one and dones or very limited.
Disagree.
Like, if you're building this world, you should explain. You should explain at least.
You should only explain it if your characters know it. But if your characters don't know it, it's bullshit to go, here's a flashback to a long time. Like, also, why? They can't die. Why? Because they can't. Why? Because they can't. They can't die. Who gives a shit?
Again, you don't have to explain everything. That's fine.
You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to.
I mean, sure.
Because life doesn't have to explain anything. If some motherfucker tomorrow woke up and was like, I can breathe fire, sure, we may be able to figure out the mechanics of him breathing fire, but why can he breathe fire? Because the guy can breathe fire.
I don't read comics for it to be like real life. I read comics for it to learn interesting stories and all that shit. Like, again,
you're what's killing storytelling. There's my extreme take. That's my extreme moment.
I think that there is a place for that where it's like things just are. And you 100% know I agree with you on that because I follow the same fucking thing. Sometimes, in specifically when you're writing a certain genre and developing,
horror is the biggest genre for this.
Exactly.
Horror, you do not have to explain. Young writers out there, if you were writing horror, you do not have to explain a goddamn thing.
Okay, let's use one of. There are very few comic book series that I've read pretty much everything on. Rom Space Knight. And,
you got a jam for it.
Right? And Hellboy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing
I think you might be a little behind on the modern stuff because they're doing lots of like Hellboy adjacent shit.
I've read all of the original runs, and I've read all but I think the last trade paperback of BPRD. I know I'm just whipping out my nerd cred here. I've also read the Timepiece one-shots. I'm a little behind on those. So that is where...
Did you do the Abe series, though? Because Abe had a short-lived series.
So I haven't read it because the one that I have is a collector's version, and I'm not going to open it. But I have read Lobster Johnson.
Okay.
And I've read the Batman crossover.
And there's like the
Aliens
1980
crossover. That's the one. No, it
19...
changes. There's like 1945 and 1955. I forget exactly, but there's all these like what was Hellboy doing in the 50s, 40s, what was he doing in the 60s, that kind of thing. So I've read a lot of Hellboy. Do I care that they never really explain what the Al-Ghru Jihad are? No, that's okay. It's okay to have elements like that, but they explain the right hand of doom because there was a whole world built around it that had to do with the main character. That's my point. Like, if there's something that is extremely unique about the main character, tell me about it.
I don't think that that's 100% rule. I'd say that that's a 50% rule at best for me personally. Because again, like Old Guard, I never once, literally not once did I go, man, I wonder what makes them special. Knowing that they were was enough. That's all I needed.
And see, for me, it's not. Right? I'm okay if the series takes you through a journey of discovery to get there. I'm totally okay with that.
But they're not looking for that. None of them are looking for the why. They're content with the is.
But they're not. They're angsty and angry because they don't understand. And because why is it that we had to go through this whole process that we don't understand?
I don't think they maybe that comes through truer in the comic than it did in the movie. None of them seem to be seeking that answer. None of them.
Not seeking, but definitely super fucking confused, and it really added to their whole like the biggest.
Maybe you won't like the comic because I'm telling you, this did not at all ring true for me in the comic, where anybody was other than the villain who was trying to obtain that knowledge. All of the other characters seem to have made peace, including the new one, who's a little bit like, what's going on? But once you get to the point where the action kicks in, she's pretty much done asking that question, and then into the second volume, she's not really asking that question anymore. They're done. They're done with it. The fact of the matter is they can't, and that's what's more important.
Sure, to a point. I love worlds being built, and that's I actually stop. If someone's building a world, if an author is building a world that I'm supposed to care about, they should tell me about it.
The
They don't
world
have
doesn't
to,
owe you
but they
answers,
don't have to tell
man.
me anything. No. Look, nobody owes me shit. Let's just get that right out of the gate. Nobody owes me shit. But we're talking in a sense of like for me to be invested in the world and the characters. So we're talking if as an author you are interested in holding my attention and wanting me to give you money for additional things or continue being a patron,
They gotta hold your hand.
but it's not hand holding. That's just it, right? Like it's super easy to dismiss it as that, but it's not. It's part of storytelling. They don't have to tell me everything. Like I don't give a shit why.
They don't gotta tell you nothing.
But they
Bro,
do.
why do those kids end up in the Digimon world? Because they're the Digidestined. Why are they the Digidestined? Because it's destined, bro. It's all fucking written on walls and shit in a cape. We're at that time, and I feel like we're at an impassable mountain.
But yeah. But
we're
even
both standing on two edges of the mountain
even
going,
if you're-
this side's pointier.
even if you in your Digimon example, I wanted to know more about the digital world than I gave a shit about why these particular kids were chosen.
Even the Digimon didn't give a fuck. The kids would show up and they'd be like, this is crazy. And the Digimon are like, yeah, dude, it's fucking Tuesday here.
Yeah,
like,
but
get over it.
the Digimon were basically animals, so okay.
Bullshit. They had societies and shit. There were cities
Yeah.
and hierarchies and kings. They were at least medieval motherfuckers.
Okay, I don't remember as much of Digimon than
I feel like you
than I
need to
remember.
rewatch you some Digimon.
I feel like I won't do that.
It's actually not bad.
It's not about it not being bad. It's just I'm okay.
I finally started Dragon Ball Super.
Oh god, dude, I can't. I can't revisit certain things from my childhood because it just ruins the memory.
Dragon Ball Z is a little long-winded. Super so far is moving at a great clip.
It's not about it being long-winded. It's just I remember having all these great moments and now I honestly think me getting into more of this like podcast and reviewing has actually ruined my ability to enjoy older media that I've already watched.
Yes.
Because now I no longer watch it with that wide-eyed amazement that I did when I was a kid. I am now looking at it as a reviewer, as someone in the quote unquote in the industry, even though we're not, but you know what I mean.
Don't rewatch Z and dive straight into Super, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as long as you're treating it as a background show. It's a fantastic film. I watch it while I brush my teeth and shit at night and in the morning.
I rewatched Dragon Ball.
Oh, don't do that. Ball and Z are also very different shows though, because Ball is geared towards like 10 and under, whereas Z is like 10 plus.
Yeah, no, I know. But I rewatched Ball a while back, a couple years ago.
Yeah, don't do that. I did it too.
I just remembered I just wasn't having fun anymore.
It's not. It's
like,
just childish and stupid.
It just doesn't land. And I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that.
Z is better than Ball.
Okay. Before we go, Night Trap. What is it?
Night Trap, the video game. It's a what did they call them? Like the live action games. Full motion video. It's a full motion video game about like college co-eds being attacked by vampires. Quotes, but the vampires have these drill things they put onto the girls' necks to drain their blood, and your whole goal is you're like a security guard who's watching security cameras, and you have to click on and dive into the right room at the right time to save the girls from the vampires. There's like a bunch of different endings depending on how many girls you save from getting killed by the vampires.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the X-Files video game for the original PlayStation was a live motion video game.
Oh, probably. It was really big around that time. I have an original in-box version of Night Trap, and I also have the booklet. For whatever reason, I have the salesman liner notes to the booklet. So like they could go into like companies be like, here's why you want to carry Night Trap. I work for Sega. I have that. I don't know why I have that, but I have that. And if you're interested, Limited Run Games still has copies of Night Trap for the Switch for sale. And it's a good game. It's worth owning. On that note, you're barely going to have time to do it. Play us out.
Hey, check us out on Tuesdays, 7 to 9, twitch.tv/Metagame Network. It's when we do our multiplayer night. And yes, I led with video games because that's what we're talking about. Also, check out 5D Podcasts Live in 5D Podcasts on YouTube. Bias Bros is every Thursday, also in 5D Podcasts YouTube. Last
And
week,
twitch.tv/Metagame Network.
that is correct. We are doing the multi-stream now. And if you missed it last week, you missed a guest appearance by one of our tattoo friends, among
Our
other
D&D
things.
bro.
D&D bro. Is that his username now? Is that what we're going by? Your bonsai
No,
mark,
that's
and
just
that's D&D bro?
he's from yours and my D&D group.
I mean, I get that. I just thought we were going to give him a cool, quirky nickname. Anyways, on that note, final words, Bonsai.
Nope.
He is surly. Also, check out Necroscope. Apparently, it's out there and super awesome from the chat. Our long-standing buddy over there, TK. Bye.
Bye.